When it comes to simulation gaming, few titles have left as profound a mark on the industry as the SimCity series. With its mix of urban planning, resource management, and open-ended creativity, SimCity introduced players to the thrill and chaos of building a city from scratch, skyscraper by skyscraper, road by road. What began as a passion project by game designer Will Wright eventually became a cornerstone of PC gaming and a catalyst for the simulation genre as a whole. The SimCity series was born in 1989 with the release of the original SimCity for platforms like the Commodore 64, Apple II, and MS-DOS. At the time, the concept of a game with no specific win condition was a radical departure from the norm. Instead of saving princesses or shooting enemies, players were tasked with balancing budgets, laying infrastructure, and managing crises like traffic congestion, fires, and natural disasters. The core idea was simple, yet revolutionary. Simulate the intricate systems of a living city and let players play both mayor and god. Despite its unconventional gameplay, the first SimCity was a surprising success. It was praised for its educational value, open-ended design, and the way it empowered players to think critically and creatively. But it was the follow-up title, SimCity 2000, released in 1993, that solidified the franchise's place in gaming history. SimCity 2000 was not just a sequel, it was a seismic leap forward. With an isometric view that gave the game a true sense of depth and dimension, it allowed players to visualize and design their cities like never before. Gone were the flat 2D top-down grids. Now, cities came alive in rolling hills, elevated highways, and subterranean infrastructure. SimCity 2000 introduced an underground layer for water pipes and subways, giving cities new levels of complexity and realism. One of the most significant evolutions in SimCity 2000 was the introduction of new building types and services. Players could now manage hospitals, prisons, museums, and libraries. Zoning options were expanded, transportation networks improved, and utilities like water and electricity required more nuanced oversight. Budgeting became more dynamic, with city ordinances and bonds allowing for deeper financial strategy. The game's advisor system also added a layer of personality and feedback that helped guide players through the various challenges of city management. SimCity 2000 was also notable for its quirky sense of humor. Newspaper headlines updated regularly with satirical, sometimes surreal stories that added personality and charm to the otherwise serious task of urban governance. The game struck a perfect balance between simulation and fun, a hallmark that would carry the series forward. Following SimCity 2000's immense popularity, the franchise continued to evolve. SimCity 3000 was released in 1999, offering a visual upgrade and more detailed simulation mechanics. It featured a broader range of buildings, improved graphics, and more flexible terrain editing. It also added the ability to negotiate deals with neighboring cities, offering more dynamic regional interaction. However, it was SimCity 4, released in 2003, that many fans and critics consider the pinnacle of the series. SimCity 4 was ambitious in scope and groundbreaking in execution. For the first time, players could manage entire regions made up of interconnected cities. This allowed for a broader simulation of population dynamics, traffic flow, and resource sharing across city borders. The game's graphics engine was significantly upgraded, delivering richly detailed environments that brought urban landscapes to life with dynamic lighting, realistic terrain, and animated citizens. What set SimCity 4 apart wasn't just its visual polish, it was its depth. Players could fine-tune zoning densities, deploy complex transportation systems, and manage a vast array of public services. The introduction of MySims allowed players to follow individual citizens and learn how city decisions affected their daily lives. While this feature wasn't as expansive as later life sims like The Sims, it offered a powerful lens into the human side of city planning. SimCity 4 also embraced the modding community, which proved vital to the game's longevity. The Building Architect tool and Lot Editor empowered fans to create and share custom buildings, landmarks, and gameplay tweaks. This opened the floodgates to a creative renaissance, with fan-made content extending the life of the game for decades. Even 2 decades later, SimCity 4 remains a staple of the simulation community thanks to an active and dedicated modding scene. Despite its acclaim, SimCity 4's complexity and steep learning curve were barriers for some players. The game required not only strategic thinking, but also patience and dedication. It catered more to simulation enthusiasts than casual gamers, but those who embraced it found endless possibilities in its systems. The SimCity franchise took a sharp turn in 2013 with the release of a reboot simply titled SimCity. Developed by Maxis and published by Electronic Arts, this version aimed to modernize the franchise with a new engine, online multiplayer features, and more approachable mechanics. However, it was marred by a rocky launch, including server issues, restrictive city sizes, and an always online requirement that frustrated fans. Although it featured some innovative ideas, such as detailed simulations of individual agents and specialized city roles, the backlash was strong, and the game struggled to recover its reputation. In the wake of the 2013 SimCity's disappointment, many fans turned to spiritual successors like Cities Skylines, which embraced the complexity and freedom that had defined the earlier SimCity games, especially SimCity 4. Cities. Skylines succeeded where the reboot faltered, proving that there was still a strong appetite for in-depth city simulators rooted in creativity, systems thinking, and user control. Despite the setbacks of the modern reboot, the legacy of SimCity remains untarnished. SimCity 2000 and SimCity 4, in particular, are remembered not only for their innovation, but for the way they empowered players to experiment, imagine, and build their own vision of the perfect city. These games taught players about urban design, environmental balance, and civic responsibility, often without them even realizing it. They were digital playgrounds where players could pave roads, dream big, and learn from failure in a consequence-free environment. The SimCity series paved the way for a new kind of game, one not about destruction or competition, but about construction and creativity. It inspired a generation of gamers, architects, urban planners, and artists. Its spirit lives on in countless games today, but its origins and peak moments remain unmatched in charm, complexity, and cultural impact. Whether you were zoning your first neighborhood in SimCity 2000 or sculpting regional transit networks in SimCity 4, the experience was transformative. It was more than a game. It was a lesson in design, patience, and the art of building something greater than yourself.